The name Coyote Ugly came from when, you have a little much to drink at night and you go home with someone and a coyote will bite its own arm off out of a trap in order to live and get through it. So it's kind of if you go home and you wake up and you're not next to someone so attractive, you'd rather bite your arm off than wake them up and sneak out. So that is where the name Coyote Ugly came from.
That's very cool.
This is the Leo Clamaco Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Leo Clamaco Podcast. I'm your host, Leo. Today, we're coming from the beautiful Move studio in Miami. And my guest today is the beautiful Joanna Olsen. Joanna is a celebrated entrepreneur, philanthropist, known for opening multiple Coyote Ugly saloons, a renowned global bar chain that inspired the movie by the same name. A University of Georgia graduate, she found Paradox in 1997, blending art, fashion, and music. Honored as a Glamour magazine's Woman of the Year, Joanna mentors entrepreneurs and supports numerous charities. Joanna, thank you to the podcast.
Well, thank you for that intro and thank you for having me.
No problem. My pleasure. Before we get into it, I want to know exactly what Paradox was and how did you fuse art and fashion and music all into one?
So when I moved to Atlanta after I went to the University of Georgia and I studied abroad in Europe, and that's where I got the idea. Is I wanted to always own my own business. I did not know it was going to be a bar. My degree's in architecture and design. But that is, at the time in Atlanta, it was booming. You know, in one of those nights, you're like, I'm going to open a nightclub.
Right.
It's the difference of the people who really do it. So the next day, got together with some people that I believed in as well and said, let's do this project.
How old were you?
I was 23.
You were very young.
Yeah, I was 23. And so
all that energy, all that drive.
All that energy, all that drive at that time. Thinking you can conquer the world.
Yes.
And we didn't have things like...
You've done pretty well so far.
Well, thank you. And I'm not going to make it sound easy. We definitely, you had to go down to the city of Atlanta, figure out how to get a liquor license, got a lease, found a great space. And that's how we started that.
That's great. What did you do to get money for a startup that new, so young?
So we did have an investor, Mahesh, who I'm still good friends with today. And then I maxed out every credit card that I had at the time. So we were leasing.
The entrepreneur way.
Yeah, you have to put your own skin in the game, and you've got to have. And
100%.
I grew up middle class. There was no plan B or money to fall back on, and so I had to make this work. And I wasn't gonna. Failing was never an option, and failing is never an option. That's a motto I definitely live by.
I love that. So how did it go? How did Paradox work?
So it opened in 1999.
Okay.
And we started a Jermaine Dupri night on Tuesday nights, which was awesome. So we had a great, I love my 90s hip hop era. It was really cool. So we had that. And we also had...
Was Janet there?
She had been there before. We have Beyonce. I've got some great old pictures of everybody. Usher, Pink was discovered. Had one of our first concerts there where she was discovered by them. Then from So Deaf. That was really, really cool.
That is very
cool.
And
then Friday and Saturday we just 95.5 The Beat. It was all radio then, and so we would do just huge promotions all weekend long. And Atlanta was a great place to party, and still is. But definitely during that genre was very cool. So it gave me the validity when I traveled up to New York, and ventured into Coyote Ugly at the time and met Lil and was like, I want to do this in Atlanta. I want to do this. This is the coolest thing. So
how does it feel to be a medium, I guess, for all these artists to come and share their art?
So I am a collector of art myself, and I do love art. So going back to that, I wanted to showcase a different artist every month. So that's what we would do on Fridays, and introduce new artists and then show their art and keep it there for the month, and then people could purchase it.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Where did the name Coyote Ugly come from?
Well, the name Coyote Ugly came from when, you have a little much to drink at night and you go home with someone. And a coyote will bite its own arm off out of a trap in order to live and get through it. So it's kind of if you go home and you wake up and you're not next to someone so attractive, you'd rather bite your arm off than wake them up and sneak out. So that is where the name Coyote Ugly came from.
That's very cool. So fill in that gap between Paradox and the first Coyote Ugly.
Okay, well, they did overlap.
Oh, they did?
So,
okay.
yes. So I at that time, I had wanted to open Coyote Ugly and do my own thing. Paradox was still going great, which I was so fortunate. My partners were very supportive. But I knew that this is what I wanted to go into because it was a female owner, female, Coyote Ugly girls who do like Devil Went Down to Georgia. And that was where my passion then and lied.
That's awesome.
And
you sold to them?
I did. So I ended up selling my shares to them. But again, was still involved and it was a very, very fortunate, friendly exit. But most nightclubs, as we know, are a little more short-lived, especially in that area.
Right.
And I didn't own the building. So that was another thing that now I do is I always make sure I own my buildings. So there's not the life shelf. If we're still doing well, we get to still keep going.
That's really the McDonald's model.
Correct.
Yeah,
so
they own the building.
Mm-hmm. So that is hence where the big side of a big aspect of me is owning the land, owning the building, and that's a really big deal in your business. Which I give advice to people: if you're going to start anything, whether it's a hair salon or anything, you own the land, own the building, and it's an investment.
Yeah, 100%.
You're paying your own landlord. I'm my own landlord. I'm just
And you can always leave and still have that building.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if everything went wrong today, I still, walk around, buildings paid off, liquor licenses are paid off, and you're good to go.
Take me back to the grand opening of Coyote Ugly.
Okay.
How was that?
The one in Atlanta, it was great. So you have a girl tryout. So we had over 500 girls come to try out to be a coyote. So the movie then had just come out. So it was the big deal. Everybody wanted to be a coyote.
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. It's a good, fun, like G-rated, John Goodman. It's like a make you feel good movie.
Yes, 100%.
And so we had a huge tryout, had over 500 girls try out. And then we had 2 weeks of boot camp because they have to learn all the dances.
Okay.
And then we had a huge grand opening that night, which was just awesome. And that was in Atlanta in the year 2001.
Wow, 2001.
Yep.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, so there was one in New York at the time. And
I've been to that one.
Yep, and then it was Vegas and then Atlanta. So Atlanta was a third one to open, yes.
Very cool. Tell me, how did this movie come to be?
So the Jerry Bruckheimer, there was called GQ, the magazine, put a story out called The Muse. And Julia Roberts had just gone to the bar and taken her bra off. That's the stick. You don't show their boobs, but they encourage you to take off your bra while you're there. So she had just done that. So they wrote a story about it. And Jerry Bruckheimer had read the story and said, this will be a great, movie tagline. And went to Lil at the time and did a deal for the movie.
That's great. Does that taking off the bra still happen today?
It still does, yes.
That's great.
Yes, it does.
I'm actually very
You'll see a lot of bras up there.
Yeah, because you would think that in today's culture, that might not be so kosher, I guess.
Well, it's definitely some things have changed over the years, but again, it's a fun way to do it. It's not where you're taking off your shirt and your bra. It's you take it off here, and it's kind of like let loose. Let's have fun tonight. You don't have to be all captured in a bra and all of that fun stuff.
Stuck. Yeah,
all stuck. That's a good word for it. I was trying to be free. It's about being free and having a fun night, and it's just all about having a great time.
Got it. Were you in the movie? Were you a part of the movie?
No, I was not.
No?
But the movie is based on Lil, my partner, and it's based on us as the owners.
Got it.
Yes.
What was your level of involvement? Did they consult you?
So I had Lil was involved in that part, but I was busy doing my part of getting the bar open.
Got it.
Doing the build out, doing the fun stuff.
Working on
working on the build out down there with
things.
the wood and hammer and nails. I'm doing it myself. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hard hat.
Exactly. No, seriously, yes, for sure. You got to save money when you're young.
Sure.
You're doing all that work yourself.
Yes,
for sure.
I agree 100%. Yeah, you got to put in that labor.
Absolutely.
What was it like taking all that knowledge that you learned from Paradox, business-wise, and transferring that over to Coyote Ugly? How did that transfer for you?
Well, you're learning lessons every day. Whether it's promotions or dealing with staff, employees, things like that. So you just take that knowledge and continue to grow it and use it to make each day and each time better. Through each Coyote I've opened, I've learned how to do things differently, how to do things better, have a better credit card machine, a better cash register machine, how to run things better and all that.
How to hire better.
Exactly, hire better.
Pick better employees,
yes.
100%.
Still, like I said, I'm still learning every day and still figuring it out, and times change, but yes, you take each I guess mistake is a lesson learned, so.
For sure. There are no failures.
No.
Just
Life lessons.
Misfires.
Yeah, some misfires. You get some really good words. I'm going to have to use them. Yeah.
Is Coyote Ugly a franchise or no? You own all of them?
It is. No, Coyote Ugly is a franchise.
Got it.
Through Lil. Yes. So it is a franchise LLC.
Got it. Smart.
And they are all over the world now as well.
I saw you have 21 locations.
Yes. So I own
That's
all the
incredible.
Florida locations and buildings myself.
Got it.
So yeah, it's
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. So,
Have you been to all of them?
Well, of course. I have to. And I'm currently going right back to one of them as we speak today, to Tampa. So yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
What advice do you have for not becoming emotionally attached to your business? Like Paradox, for example, that was your baby, right? You brought that to life and then you sold it off. What are some advices that you have not to get so attached? Because so many entrepreneurs get attached to their first business. Like it's their baby,
Right.
It's literally their first kid kind of for a lot of people.
Right. I guess, so part of the reason that I am successful is I do treat my Coyote team as a family. So it is very much like that. And when we do have a hurricane, I want to make sure they're taken care of. If their houses are wiped away in that hurricane, I want to make sure they are good.
That's awesome.
So you are very emotionally invested and attached, and I think that adds to the success. But you do have to know when it's time. If what I think you're saying is that if it's time to cut the cord and something's not going to work, because a lot of times they've changed laws where I've lived. They changed the closing time from 3 a.m. to 1 a.m. Or things there's so many things, moving parts out of your control. There's random shootings that all of a sudden now this is no longer a bar area district.
Right.
They'll change, so things change. So you have to know when to just switch, move, and move on to the next best city and make that cut.
And pivot.
Yep.
How do you manage stress and not burning out? Because you've been at this for a very long time. You are very successful. What's one good tip that you have to manage stress?
For me, definitely working out. A new thing I definitely do is the cold plunge, hot plunge,
does that
yoga.
Work for you? Do you like that?
I do. I did start doing that, and it really, really does help. It really raises your endorphins for the rest of the day to get you through with energy.
I bought one, and it's staring at me in my garage.
Okay, so you're gonna do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Deal.
Yeah. So, but it really is just, and then having a few friends you can talk to. Things like that, but it really is. It's being an entrepreneur. I'm not gonna lie. It's not for the weak at heart.
It's not.
It's definitely
the zigzags, the up and downs, the roller coaster ride.
100%. And you are. It's a lot on you. At the end of the day, you're the leader. Like when we went through COVID, I would have to act extremely strong and be such a leader. And then you go home and you're kind of like, what am I really gonna do? How am I? Because we didn't understand how to navigate what that was really gonna look like. How long are we really gonna be closed?
Right. How long were you closed?
6 months.
6 months.
So we were closed 6 months. And I was just extremely fortunate that I did have 4, and we had been open for 18 years. So I had money built up to get through that time. So I feel very, very, very bad for the people who did just open and then that hits, because you really didn't have any control over that.
Yeah, for sure. And that was so sudden.
It was
from
sudden.
One moment to another, everything shut down.
And it shut down at our busiest month of the year. So yeah, but it happened during spring break. So I'll never forget it.
Right.
It was March 17th.
April, yes.
Yeah, it was March 17th, and
oh boy,
you got a call that morning. You can't open tonight. And that was it. So we had to figure out for all our staff. We did. It was like, okay, let's get them some Publix gift cards to feed their kids, to do this, because they make cash.
Yes.
So that's another thing, is you got to think, you are always thinking of other people and that. So the owners, we come last. I say we eat last. So we're, we got to make sure they're all good and they can get through it. And then we did, and very blessed.
How big is your staff that you manage?
I have great general managers who run each individual property.
Okay.
And we have about between 20 and 35 employees at each property.
That's a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, it's a lot of mouths to feed, and I feel good about it. And they're awesome.
What would you say is your top characteristic that has contributed to your success?
I think my top characteristic would be resilience. I'm just very, very resilient. And
you look tough.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's good.
No, I mean like strong mentally.
Yeah, you have to be very, very strong mentally. And again, I go back to the never give up. There's always a way. In anything in life, there's always a way. No is never an answer. If someone tells me no, I'm going to figure out how to get it.
That's awesome. one of my favorite books is Napoleon Hill, 3 Feet from Gold.
Yes, that's a great one. I do read a lot too.
Yes, you have to read.
Yes. Again, always learning, always growing, definitely.
And so many people quit right before they're like 3 feet away, literally, and they give up.
Nope. You have to follow through and go for it. And what I always tell everybody is, what is really the worst case scenario?
Right.
Like for me, I had a wonderful job as a designer, and it was like, again, I wasn't going to not fail, but what if it failed for whatever reason, even out of my control?
Right.
I go back to a job I love. At least I tried and I did it. And I don't have that when I look back 20 years from now. God, I really wish I'd have opened that business.
Right. Having that regret.
Yes, exactly. And now, life is that, my goal of being an entrepreneur was to have freedom, give back to society, take care of my parents and my future family financially, and have freedom. And that's what now I'm enjoying. I call it the golden handcuffs. You're still always working.
For sure.
And still always, I tell everybody I'm a glorified landlord. I mean, we're getting toilets fixed. The AC is getting fixed right now in the morning. You wake up to, what issue do I have today, and what do we need? What fires do we need to put out?
Yes.
So it's just a lot of that.
But you're in charge.
I'm my own boss.
And you're calling the shots.
Yep. And that's what,
It's a much better position to be in.
Correct.
Than taking the calls.
Correct. Absolutely. And again, I have a great team that really, they've grown with me since day one. I had someone start with me as a security at $8 an hour who now owns part of 2 of them with me.
That's amazing.
So I really grow my team with me. And I think that's so important. And again, has allowed me the freedom.
Because you're building from within.
Absolutely.
You're promoting your own.
And you want to reward the people who have been good to you in the hard times. And,
yes.
You need that. I mean, sometimes there's tough times for me, and I need someone to fill in or do things. So
right. Going back to the regret, me personally, I have anxiety about not doing it than doing it. Like I would rather risk it all and lose than to have that regret of, man, could I have done it? Absolutely.
And they'll tell you, they just did speaking of reading, they just said that. What are the 5 top things people say on their deathbed? They're like, not opening that business. I wish I would have. That's one of the top 5. Because when you work for someone else, you don't have control of your daily life and your hours and how long you're working.
And you never test yourself. You don't know what you're made of.
Correct.
Right? Like when you risk it all, you're really betting on yourself. And you're really telling yourself, no, this is there's no option B. It's option A.
Yep.
Let's go forward.
Correct. And when people are like, it was like, there's never an option B. I mean, it's only A. And again, I always figure out how to navigate through anything.
Amazing. Who was Joanna in high school?
Wow. In high school, I played sports. Okay. Very much into sports. Played softball and basketball. And I was a B student, not straight A's.
Okay.
But I did get a scholarship to Georgia academically because they came out with that at the time. So that was
Were you a popular girl?
I was pretty popular, but I was friends with everybody because I was in the AP classes. So I was like all the nerdier people are my friends because I'm a nerd at heart too. Love to stay home and read as well. And I love like Bauhaus and love going to all the cool concerts and Jane's Addiction, all that fun stuff. So I think I had a variety of type of like every group of person was my friend in high school.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Lassiter in Atlanta.
In Atlanta,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I was born in New York and raised in Atlanta.
Got it.
Yep.
Who were some of your mentors? Who do you look up to?
Well, I did seek out a mentor when I was in college, and his name was Don Keenan. And
what made you seek him out?
Well, my family, I come from a middle class family, so I was the first one to go to college in my family, and I couldn't really get advice for finance or, I was just built different than my parents. They were so supportive of my dreams and what I wanted, but they didn't know how to direct it or give me advice towards it.
Got it.
So I just, of course, that was said to us to find a mentor. So I did find one, and now I still get mentored and mentee. So I like to do both because I still, again, I'm always learning and try to find someone who's done something 50 times better than me and get advice from them and how I can grow and what I can do. Would you say that's the biggest value that you get from a mentor, that shortcut, that help in knowledge? Absolutely. I have had a lot of different jobs. I sold the Atlanta Journal. I was a waitress. But my biggest advice is before you open a business, go work in a business for a solid month or seek out a mentee like me. Like I just did this last week for someone who was opening a restaurant and bar. And I said, look, you can go to Jack Daniels and say, look, I will have you in my well. And they can't give you money, but they can pay for your bar stools. They can pay for, things along the way. So I didn't have that knowledge until a year or two in. And I'm like, why didn't I just get this? I could have saved myself a lot of money
for sure
by doing that early on. So
that experience.
So it's definitely my advice. It's not even a mentor. Just go to someone who's doing it and doing it well. Right. And they're going to be more than happy to say, hey, can I work with you for 1 week and just follow you for a week
and learn.
And then because little things come up every day, whether it's about my insurance, we get lawsuits, we are name brand, anything that comes up, you just get to share that knowledge. And it's, knowledge is power. So the more you know going into it, the more it's going to really go further a long way.
Love that. What would you say are some of the values that you live by, your non-negotiables? Could be personal, business, whatever it may be, whatever realm.
Integrity, just honesty. Really, just those are my really, really big ones. And those are really, integrity is really my thing. It's just how, really how you are and built at heart, your character at soul. And that's when I'm hiring, when I'm, whatever it is in life, friends, everything, it's integrity.
Yeah, same. For me, it's also integrity. I would also add loyalty. Loyalty,
yep. And especially in my business.
Yeah.
Loyalty is a huge thing. So we have the same ones.
Do you think that the movie portrayed the culture accurately?
It actually is perfect. Until this day it is. I think one of the coolest compliments is when people come in and they're like, this is just like the movie. We've really held the integrity of that. They still do the same, pour some sugar on me. We still do the same choreographed dances. Still, no H2O, spray people with water. It's really, it's a hole in the wall.
Yes.
But we've made a few adjustments along the way, but you really are going to be like, I'm in a real Coyote Ugly. This is really what, you feel the movie. You feel like you're in the movie. And then there's all different types of people. There's bachelorette parties, there's birthday parties, a very celebratory place to go to that people are just there to drink a lot and have a lot of fun. And it's really a great spot for that.
What does Coyote Ugly mean to you?
It has meant building a life that I really only could have dreamed of when I was younger. So I'm very, very grateful that I am where I am now and still growing. But it means that it's just really a dream that I set out to do that is now, I've gone probably further than I even had anticipated.
I was going to ask you that.
Still going.
When you were building in the beginning, did you think you'd be this big?
I had goals to be a millionaire by 30, and I had certain things, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, this is going pretty well. But you have your setbacks again. I'm ready for anything at any time.
Sure.
But yes, through buying a lot of real estate and investing well and varying my investments along the way have been a big part of that.
Has there been any advantages or disadvantages to being a female entrepreneur?
That's a good question. I have never used or disused being a female for anything. I've never wanted to try to get a loan because I was a female. Only 1% of all bar owners are females.
Wow.
It has not presented me many problems, but again, I'm that type of person who doesn't use being a female or race or anything. I just think if you work hard and you dig hard and you just go for it, you can be successful.
You're a problem
We live in
solver.
America, and I was so fortunate.
Amen.
We were talking about this. I grew up in the 80s where we're pro-America and the American dream and let's work hard, let's do well. And really, I grew up in that era. So that's all I knew. I never thought about it. Well, I'm a girl, so this is going to be harder. Or I'm of course, have there been, there's times where I'm sitting at the table with 3 of my partners and they're looking at them and then they're like, no, she's the owner, So that does happen. But I take that as a compliment, and it's nothing it has not worked as an advantage or a disadvantage, put it that way.
Got it. You touched on America.
Yes.
Let's get political a little bit, okay?
Okay.
What is your current view of the state of America?
That we need to get back to that 80s pro-America. That we need to be proud to be in this country. And we're so fortunate to be in this country. And I really want to see that pendulum swing back to everybody loving to be in America and proud, and us to be united, because we were not disconnected. Even in the 90s, I felt like I have a variety of every type of friend, and we could talk about politics. We could sit there and have a great educated conversation about business, about everything, and still be best friends. And we need to get back to that where we're united as a country.
How do you think we get back there?
I think it starts with people like us setting that example and bringing that, that we bring back that work hard ethic. And I do see that starting to happen in our economy recently. We see how things are going. So I think people want to see that everybody united and not have this dysfunction. And when you get out and you talk with people one-on-one and get off the internet and get off social media, you do see how many people get along. That hate out there is not as bad as it seems.
Has social media had an impact in your business, in your career?
Well, when I first started, it didn't exist.
Right. It wasn't even there.
So yes, it definitely helps get the stories out right away and show the bar and this and that. But so it's had a great positive impact for us at this point because it is free as well.
Right.
So you used to pay $2,000 for radio ads every week, and now it's a free way to promote your brands and get all of that out there in a good way.
Do you spend money on advertising, or at this point you don't even have to?
No, we really partner up with people, with brands. Like I told you earlier, that's how they like Casa Azul this weekend just promoted something for us. We have our 21 anniversary coming up. So we get sponsors. So that's how thank God when you've been open for a long time and you have a name brand, they want to brand with you.
Yes.
So I always use the word Partners United. We're all very united and we promote them, they promote us, and we don't spend money out of our pocket anymore.
That's great.
Yes.
It's great to have a brand that people recognize and want to work with and want to be a part of.
And even if you go out when you were young, even when I was only 1 year in, they have to believe in you as a person.
For sure.
So you can still go get these people to believe in you. Right. Because Red Bull, we were the first people to have a Red Bull.
Really?
We were at our nightclub. I will never forget, they said, can we hand out these cans of Red Bull? Nobody even knew what Red Bull was. Didn't exist. I mean, it just came out.
Right.
And so we have been partners now for 26 years.
And
we still have that,
that's amazing.
Wow, we were the first people to I carried you. It's that loyalty and that long brand together.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Yeah. A little too much, but yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
Are you living your dream life, or is there anything else that you need to accomplish?
I am living part of my dream life for sure. I think there's a lot of trade-offs, or I know there's a lot of trade-offs.
Right.
I guess I will go back to what you said about being a female, and I'll be a little bit vulnerable here. I did not end up having a child because I was going around running a business.
Got it.
So it's different for men.
Those were your babies.
Yeah, those were my babies. And my men counterparts, they get to have a wife who stays home and procreate the child and have the child. So there's where the big, huge trade-off was.
Got it.
So I still, if that makes sense, that's the real big, big thing. And of course, being one of the first entrepreneurs. I mean, when I grew up, I didn't see a female entrepreneur. We didn't see them. Sarah Blakely lived in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta. We were the first ones that you saw be female entrepreneurs. I didn't even know that word. I was pre-med. Right. It was either a doctor or a lawyer to make money.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's very pioneering of you.
Yeah. So that's
to pave that way.
Yeah, we didn't know we were paving it at the time, but yes, that is a big factor in it. You know, because I'm traveling in a different city every week. You're constantly on the road. You're constantly have a million moving parts, and to have someone, a partner in life, who can appreciate that and be supportive of that is tricky.
It is. It really is.
I'm sure for anyone, but for a girl, it's very tricky.
Yeah. No, I can definitely understand that. I have 2 young ones, and it's a lot easier for me than it is for my wife. You know, I can get to travel, I can get to go places, and if she wants to come, we have to get a sitter, or everybody has to come together.
Exactly.
It's very different.
Right. So that is the one aspect of it that that dream did not come to fruition.
Got you. What was it like being named Woman of the Year from Glamour magazine?
That was really cool because we were the only one in the Southeast.
Right.
So that was a really neat accomplishment at a very young age. But it was by default, I will say. They did do it because you had to be a female.
Okay.
So we just happened to be one of the only females who had started a bar. But it was very, very cool, and started that recognition that gave me the recognition from Lil and them to know that I was the real deal. I wasn't just... There's people all the time who walk up and say, I want to do one of these in, Tennessee, or I want to do these in Gatlinburg.
Right.
There's people saying that all the time, but, had validity of, yes, I know what I'm doing. Let's move forward and really let this girl do this.
Was there a ceremony? Was there like an award given to you?
Yes, there was. Yeah, there was a big ceremony. Saturn threw the ceremony, and it was in Atlanta, and it was a very cool day. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's very cool. To be able to say that, not many people can say that. It's
yeah,
very cool.
It is cool. I still have the little award hanging. Yep.
That's awesome. I know you do a lot of charity work. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that a little bit, and why is charity so important to you?
So, growing up, my mom was always so great we always gave back. Whether I walked with her marching dimes or feeding the hungry, again, we didn't have money, but we always did things through our church and always giving back. And now that I'm at a place to do that, and always have, ever since I was 22, it's like be involved or give money.
Right.
It's very, very important to me to give back to society, be part of the community.
I agree.
There's so many different ones I'm involved in, but just like this past week, it's closed to kids. And these are kids who just can't afford regular clothes for school, just tennis shoes.
That's crazy.
So to be able to do that, or there's a poor area around Tampa, and we just went and bought them an AC unit. It's 100 degrees. They have 4 kids at home. It's just very important for me to give back. And I do believe in karma and believe what comes around goes around. And it's just a unique alignment that my bars and businesses only seem to do better the more that I give. And I believe in tithing, and it's a Christian belief of mine as well, that you tithe and you give back, and you help those that are in need, not those who can help themselves. I'm very, very, that's where the split is. If you can help yourself, I do not believe in handouts.
Right.
I believe in helping those that need it.
I love that. Speaking about God, what role does God play in your life?
I'm Christian and pray. I have to pray a lot. God, please get me through this day. I think we always say we could be a better Christian, but I'm just a very spiritual person. I respect every religion and just respect people and just being a good human being. That's really what that means. I don't, want to go a certain religion. I'm very just spiritual and respect all religions, but just respect and just being a good person.
I think respect in general is lacking in the world today.
I agree with you 100%.
And a lot of people are just very low vibrational, not wanting to evolve, not wanting to have the self-love required to be empathetic to others.
I agree.
And
that's why you have to surround yourself around those type of people. As they say, surround yourself around the type of people you want to be.
Yes.
And it is hard, along the way. People do cut out of your life when you become more successful. Remind them of what they didn't become, and those parts are harder. But I agree with you. We were missing that empathy. It's not just like I said, the handouts, but the empathy of just caring for one another. How
do you think we rebuild that empathy? How do we become more human towards one another?
That's a good question. I think it's get off the internet more and get more in person together.
Yes.
And I've been better at that myself this past year, of trying to join more groups and more, where we're seeing each other face to face and having these conversations and things, because people are so lonely because they're sitting behind a computer or
Zoom
on Instagram or they're on this and they're seeing all these other people's lives. And that's why you see now America has dropped so much in happiness, because you're always comparing yourself to someone else.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. And it's so sad, because that's not, it is what means things in life are relationships and your happiness. And that's where your happiness derives from.
They're unable to zoom out and see that we live in the greatest country in the world.
Absolutely.
And you should be so blessed every single day to be here and have the opportunity to be able to do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
It mind boggles me how people can't see it. They can't pinpoint the fact that you live in an awesome country. You have all these opportunities. The internet allows you to do whatever you want today. Go after it.
Right. And I know you asked me that. So what do you think it is? Because yesterday, for instance, when I am in the Panhandle, they had the Blue Angel show.
Oh, cool.
And so what I said is there were a few gentlemen the last time I was there who didn't know what was happening because it's very loud, and they were like, "What's happening?" I go, "Boys, that's the sound of freedom right there."
That's awesome.
And they were like, "Wow, that's so cool." And that's
so
you know what I
cool.
mean? I'm like, this is what you know.
Yes.
People now, we're not as aware of our military and what's happening,
Yes.
and what they're really doing to protect us. So I think that's what I believe is bringing it back to being not just pro-America, just so. It's all of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have more in common than we actually think.
100% we do. And
You know?
that's what I mean by us getting together and having these
Yes.
conversations. Now, how do we make that happen? It's just people need to be part of that and join the groups or lead the groups or whatever it is to bring people together.
To add to that, I think people have to be willing to listen. I think people want to talk too much and just shout out their opinion and their beliefs, and they're not listening to others' opinions and others' beliefs.
I agree.
You know?
And that's something I think I always listen to is really listen. Like I will sit down with anyone and listen to their belief system and why they believe. And I'm like, well, tell me why.
Right.
Tell me why you feel that way. And I've, of course, changed my mind on things over time as well.
Do you think the future is bright, or do you think we're heading for more chaos?
I would like to say for sure, I think like I said, I think the pendulum is swinging. I think people are tired of where we're at in America. I just got back from London, and it was the first time that I had heard them speak so poorly about America.
Really?
So seeing that happen, I do believe, and I do see in my friends and personal circles, that pendulum swinging to the other side of we need to get back to what America's really about. So I'm going to go for the positive one. And
Future looks bright.
Future
agree.
looks bright.
I agree. Talk to me a bit about your coaching program. How does that work? What type of coaching are you doing? And how can someone join your program?
Coaching program for
entrepreneurs, for leadership, for mentorship. Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So
Let me ask you again.
okay, sure.
So talk to me about your mentorship. How is that going? And how does it work?
You know, I was really kind of stuck with all this knowledge I knew I had and wanted to share it. So I went through a new app called Intro.
Okay.
And it's a great space for you to be able to share that knowledge. And when I got done with the conversation, I felt so fulfilled. I think nothing gets you out of your own mindset of my problems and my issues than
Yep.
giving back to someone else. And it's not just about sharing your information. We talk about, like I said, I'm very honest about, freeze your eggs when you're 30. You don't know, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, what's going to happen.
Very interesting.
Things like that. So
Yes.
sharing all about life, where it's not just sharing how to open a bar.
That's wisdom
but it's
right
been,
there.
It's been very rewarding for me to share that and then seeing their outcomes and whether I am able to connect them directly with a job, which I was at one point. That's awesome.
Very cool.
So I've really just enjoyed that part because I'm really at a great point where I have a great team and I still have to jump in there, but I have a lot of free time as well to give back that knowledge.
Yeah. Have you heard of an app called Connect?
I have not, so enlighten me.
You should definitely be on it.
Okay.
It's an app for entrepreneurs and for leaders.
Okay.
And if someone wants to ask you a question, you have a rate, whatever it may be, $20, $40 to ask you a question or to do a FaceTime with you for 5 minutes. And they ask their question and you get to reply back with whatever answer. So it's a way for you to connect, give access to other people to your knowledge.
Perfect.
Basically.
Well, that's similar to the intro one, so I'll have to look
Yes.
into that one as well.
Yes. It's
And
very
like I said, it's just a great live conversation you're having, or we meet in person if we happen to be in the same city.
Right.
Yeah, so that's very similar.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, thanks for that advice. We'll put that down.
Yeah, because I think you're very knowledgeable, and I think the more people have access to you and your knowledge, the better off they'll be.
Well, thank you.
Not to overwork you.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I gotta enjoy the time too.
What do you think is your superpower?
my superpower, I think, is resilience. I guess I keep going back to that. Is that considered a superpower?
100%.
Okay, good. I was going to say.
The ability to keep going and not quitting.
To keep going. I mean, there's days where I don't think I can, but it's the wake up the next day and go, here we go. It's my superpower is definitely resilience to really get through anything that's been thrown my way.
Why? What do you think gives you that strength to when your mind is telling you no, but you tell yourself yes and you do it?
I think because I have so many people who count on me and live, through like so many mouths I do feed,
right,
that I can't quit. Quitting's not an option, or, that's just greed, and me looking out for myself is not just the way I'm built. It's never been the way I'm built. So anyway, that's really what I would say is my superpower.
Awesome. If you could go back in time and change anything from your entrepreneurial journey, what would that be?
If I could change anything, it would be picking a few different cities and expanding earlier, younger.
Okay.
Yep. Some of the cities I chose.
You think you waited too long?
No, I didn't wait too long, but I picked a few cities that were not ideal. My ideal cities are vacation cities,
right,
beach cities, that I would have focused more on those type of cities. Those tend to do better. So if I look back, and I would have changed that.
Got it. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see myself living very similarly, but hopefully definitely have grown in business and as a person, and really just continuing this journey of literally giving back, doing the same things, and hopefully looking pretty similar.
Joanna, this has been incredible.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Where can the people find you? What's your IG? What's your website? Your mentoring program?
You can find me at, the best way is through IG. You can DM me at, it's Joanna Danielle Olsen, JoannaDanielleOlsen.
I'll make sure to add a link to that down below.
Yeah, down there. Yep. Yep.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much
been
for
amazing.
being here. It's been amazing talking to you and meeting you. And I wish you nothing but great success.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
I hope you guys got a lot of good information from Joanna. She's very, very knowledgeable and incredible entrepreneur. I'm going to put all her links down below. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time.
This is the Leo Climaco Podcast.